Today I would like to look at the two techniques which seems to be important for the system of 133 manuscript. And these techniques are Schiltslac and Stichslac. From these two, Schiltslac is the first one that we are introduced to, and this is one of the more clear techniques, more clear plays that are in the 133. So usually, maybe not usually, but always, this technique is interpreted like correctly because it is one of the clearest technique in the manuscript. The model situation is when we are in the bind with my opponent and I am using the bind to push my opponent's blade down, and when our blades are already down, I then do a schiltslack, which is a direct strike of the shield aimed at the opponent's hands. And after this strike, I continue with a thrust or false edge cut to the head. The important thing here is that the schiltslack, the hit of my shield to the opponent's hands, is used not to harm the opponent, but to pin his hands down. And this is extremely important because with this action I am able to pin both of his hands with just my one hand. I will pin both of his hands with my shield, and I have one free hand to do whenever I want, well, generally to attack. So this is a crucial technique because if you are able to pull it off, then you are gaining like the most reliable strike ever. If you pin down both your opponent's hands and have one hand free, then it is extremely easy then to hit the opponent. So this is the point of schiltslack. Generally, it is to push the opponent's hands away, but the model situation is using it to pin them down and hold them in place. To this model situation, I can make a few observations. First, in the situation of the model situation that I am in, I don't have to do a schiltslack. In fact, I could immediately go for the head. And this is certainly an option because we are told in the manuscript that this can happen and we should be prepared to it. But it is not the option that the priest recommends us to do. He recommends us to do schiltslack and then attack. And I believe this is because the direct attack to the head may succeed, but it is not sure that it will succeed. It is like I may hit and opponent may block it. I am taking a chance. It might be good, I may succeed, but I may not. But if I add the schiltslack instead of direct attack and only after that attack, I am making it more sure. So the schiltslack here is like a sign of sophistication of the priest's technique, that he goes for the most reliable attack out there, which is this schiltslack. Another important observation is that the schiltslack in fact abuses the fact that the opponent is holding dutifully both hands together. Generally, throughout the whole manuscript, we may observe in the images the unspoken rule that you want often, very often, you want to have both hands together. So the sword hand is hidden with a shield, is covered with a shield head. And It was probably a common thing to do in the 14th century, beginning of the 14th century. And it is a good thing to do because without this covering, your hands are exposed. There are ways how to work around it, so it is not necessary to always cover your hand with your shield, but certainly it was considered like a good habit because the hand can be pretty vulnerable. So there is like a good habit of always covering your hand, but here we are encountering a technique that is exploiting this fact that the opponent is dutifully covering his hands with the shield. Because anything in the combat, any good habit can be used against you if the opponent knows how and can do it. And this schiltslack is exactly the technique that is exploiting the fact that the opponent, even though you are doing something with his sword, he still keeps the shield at his hand because he doesn't want to get hit to the hand. And you can exploit it by schiltslack, because the point of this usage of schiltslack is to pin both the hands down, and you wouldn't be able to pin the both of an opponent's hand down if he doesn't keep them together. So if he keeps them together, schiltslack. That's your trigger. What would the opponent able to do if he would want to prevent us to do the schiltslack? There is an easy way to prevent the schiltslack, and that is don't keep the hands together. If I am having my hands apart, then the opponent cannot pin both hands together with one shield strike. He can pin either the sword hand or the shield hand, but not both. And the schiltslack suddenly is not so important technique, so deadly, because without pinning both hands in one place, schiltslack doesn't generally work. So there is a simple way to prevent the effect of schiltslack. Don't keep your hands together. Put them apart. And the priest from I.33 certainly knows that this is possible, because he is giving us another option to use in this position. And that is somewhere near the end of the manuscript. And that is a cut between his hands, between his sword and shield. So this is the situation. I am pushing the opponent's hands down. If he holds his hands together, then schiltslack. And if he does not, then I cannot schiltslack, but I can go between his hands. Well, maybe with a thrust it would be better. Go between his hands and hit him all the same. So that was the schiltslack. And now stichslack. This technique is explored less than the schiltslack in the manuscript. We know it will probably have something in common with the schiltslack because of the similar name. And we know the ending position of stichslack, which looks like this. So cross hands, one shield on the other side, and a thrust. We know some usage in some place, and generally from this I would say that stichslack is a variant of schiltslack. Generally, back to our model situation, I have pushed my opponent's hands down, he holds the hands together, so I can do the schiltslack, pin his hands and attack from the outside. If it was me who was pushed down by the opponent, then the situation is similar. It was me who was pushed down, but both of us are holding hands together. So not only the opponent can do the schiltslack, I can do it too. I can do it earlier. I can again do the strike with the shield that pins both his hands down. But because I was under his sword, I won't be able to then attack from the outside, as with schiltslack, because I'm blocked by his sword. In order to do a correct schiltslack, I would then need to pull my sword back and then go for the head, so it is slower. But what I can do in this situation is, instead of attacking from outside, as it in a schiltslack, I can attack from inside, like this. So there will be the strike with the shield and then attack with the thrust under my hand. And this, I believe, is a stichslack. It is the same thing as schiltslack, but instead of attacking from outside, I will attack from inside. Same idea, same technique, but because I am in a different starting position, my attack that is connected to the shield strike would be different, but still the same idea. So I believe that this is the meaning of these two techniques. We know how to use them, and I would say that these are connected in the sense that they exploit the same mechanics, but they differ from which position we are doing our attack. It is always a shield strike, and then either attack from the outside if we can do it, or attack from the inside if we cannot. I believe, by looking at some other place where Stichslac is mentioned, I believe that you can use, or you are advised to use, this Stichslac even in the situations when you won't pin the opponent's hands down, as in the model situation, but you will just push them away. But still, I believe there is the same idea. I am striking his hands to keep them from doing anything protective, and immediately after that I am going with a thrust. So that was Schiltslac and Stichslac.